Hello, and welcome back to the Health Habit Podcast. I'm Maria Bellavia, a nature loving herbalist, science obsessed nutrition therapy practitioner, and your guide to food first holistic healing. Today I'm here with Stacie who is an applied kinesiologist and founder of Paradigm Health and Lifestyle. I am so excited to have you here today, Stacie, because what you do is so on the cusp. Like, I feel like it's an emerging field, and I'd love for people to understand a little bit more about what you do and how it applies to people's daily lives and how they view wellness. So, to get us rolling, I'd love to hear a little bit about your story of how you found and came to be an applied kinesiologist.
I'll have to think back a little bit here because
Yeah.
I think I started doing it with someone else before I completely understood it. I had one that I was seeing, and all I knew was that it worked. I had a functional medicine doctor tell me that I had a really high homocysteine and low B12, and that she thought that my lab work indicated that I had toxic load of some sort on my liver.
Mm.
So, just New York State being what it is, I had a hard time getting very specific testing done to figure out what that might be. So, I went back to my kinesiologist, which I was driving all the way to Buffalo for at the time, because I couldn't find one here, and said, I'm looking for the reason my homocysteine is high. And we investigated, and he said, lead in the liver. And I said, lead in the liver? What on earth is that? He goes, I don't know. That's the answer that I'm getting. So I said, okay, well, I've come this far. And obviously, I know much more now about ways to deal with that than I did at the time. So I went kind of extreme and did 4 rounds of IV ozone, and then went back and had my blood work done again. Went back to the doctor, and she was like, oh, that's good. So that for me was like a moment of, I didn't need the tests. I got the answer from this. And then eventually, at some point, I was like, I could do this. This is my wheelhouse. I should just do this. So, not wanting to wait tables
Mm.
for the rest of my life and be away from my family during dinner shift, I went back to school for kinesiology and had my mind blown pretty quickly.
I can imagine. So for people that don't know what kinesiology is, what is it? And then how does applied kinesiology differ from standard kinesiology?
So there's academic kinesiology. That's what most people think of. That's usually for physical therapists and athletes, and this muscle movement science. Applied kinesiology is more about the nervous system and the electrical system of the body. We're very electric, and we're filled with neurons, not just in our brain, but all over the place. And every neuron has a little charge to it. So if those are not firing, or maybe they are firing, but they're not, they're firing extra hard, or there's some sort of blockage, in the same way you might get a short in your house, you could get a short in your body for whatever reason, a stressor, an injury, lack of nutrition, dehydration. There's all kinds of reasons. There's no limit to the reasons,
Mm,
really. So kinesiology, then applied kinesiology, is a quantum method of getting your body to tell you where all of those short circuits are.
that is incredible. And I feel like there's so many rabbit holes that we could go down here. I have been finding more and more that the nervous system is really at the absolute center of wellness. And I feel like it's something that not a lot of people are fully tapping into. I see it growing a lot, but so interesting. So, when we're talking about assessing the electrical impulses, how exactly are you doing that, physically, when you're meeting with clients?
So physically, when you're meeting with clients, your electrical system and your nervous system is reflexive. So in the same way, like you'd go to a doctor and they might test the reflexes of your knee and your foot bounces out, your body responds similarly to things that make it stronger or weaker. So if we go backwards a little bit, and most people agree now that everything is atoms and they're colliding together all the time, and then there's the space between, and the space between them is energy. So the table has a frequency, this cup of tea has a frequency, you have a frequency, your microphone has a frequency, your heart has one, it's different from your liver's. That's different from your spleens, and that's different from your pancreas's frequency. So I can put something in your field, which is usually about 18 inches or so away from your body, and it will cause your body to either strengthen or weaken. And we can determine which one of those things is true just with the muscle, any muscle at all. We can test, and the muscle will go weak if the item is giving you a hard time or causing weakness in your system, and the muscle will strengthen if it will strengthen your body. Similarly, if you have a weak muscle response on, say, like a weak gallbladder response. We're testing your gallbladder and the muscle goes weak, indicating weakness in the gallbladder. We could take something that might strengthen the gallbladder, like bile salts, and put it in your field, retest the muscle, and it will be strong, indicating that that would be helpful for your gallbladder.
So incredible. So it's like taking this concept of innate intelligence, where the body is constantly wanting to move towards balance and homeostasis,
Mhm.
and kind of combining it with the term somatic intelligence, which is like that felt sense, more of like the intuitive guidance. So, like your heart rate racing when you're around somebody that maybe makes you uncomfortable,
Mhm.
like all those things. So, it's like this intersection of the physical, the electrical impulses, but then also that innate and somatic intelligence of the body.
Mhm.
Is that correct?
Yeah. Sometimes it makes me think of, like, you know how people are constantly trying to communicate with dolphins?
Now I do. I don't blame
They're
them.
like
Dolphins
trying
are
to, we know
fascinating.
dolphins can talk. We're just trying to figure out what all their sounds mean. That's kind of how I feel about this all the time. Like, what does it do if I do this? Oh, I get a response. Interesting. What if I try this? Well, that's interesting too. That tells me that this is weak over here. So it's
Yeah.
this all this. It's still a learning experience. I feel like I learn a lot. I learn something new almost every day. But at the same time, we do already have a pretty solid way of communicating with the body, and especially my bread and butter is the biochemistry. I like finding that stuff. I like looking for the weaknesses, underlying infections, nutritional deficiencies, amino deficiencies, what is causing it. It's all like a big puzzle.
Mm. So cool, and just letting the body be the guide. And I
Hmm.
feel like this field of quantum physics is so like developing, like it seems so mysterious, so like woo woo and kind of like out there, but in reality, like every aspect of our world is energy, and that's what people and physicists have been studying for so long.
Hmm.
So it's really interesting to hear that applied like to the body, which seems so obvious, yet also feels so abstract at the same time.
Is one of the things that's super interesting about it is how much your intention to find the information matters to getting
Mhm.
accurate information. For example, I could be, maybe I want to ask about your pancreas, but I accidentally point at the wrong side when I'm testing you. I could accidentally point at the wrong area of your body, muscle test you, say pancreas, and get the right answer still, even though I might be like over here on your liver, because my intention is to test the pancreas and the field responds to the intention.
So this kind of makes me think of the placebo effect, because I feel like that's a really tangible way of explaining like our intentions, our thoughts, that creates a physical reality in the body and in the world.
You can actually measure your thoughts with muscle testing. So they all have a frequency too, and you could have a very negative thought and it will create a weak muscle. You could have a very
Mhm.
positive thought and it will create a weak muscle. One session that I do is called a goal balancing session. So if you have this like super life goal that you want to achieve, maybe you want to run a marathon or finish an Ironman or open a new business or whatever your um, big goal might be, you can test the body and test a muscle to see whether your energy is aligned with the goal that you're going after. And it's funny because, like, I'll test people on this and they believe it, or it seems like they believe it, or they seem like exactly the sort of person who'd be able to pull this off, and something will go weak. And then I'll be able to go through a person's system, organ by organ, and find that actually your liver doesn't believe that, your
Mm.
brain, you don't believe what you're saying. your mind believes what you're saying, but there's some part of your body that is not in alignment with the words that you're speaking. So it makes me think of like when people say, do you believe that with every fiber of your being?
Yes.
To go down and test, like, I'm going to complete this Iron Man. And then you get to the liver, and the liver's like, no, you're not. So we have to then align that energy.
So when you say like the liver isn't in alignment, doesn't believe it, is it like we're storing that thought, that energy in the liver, or is it like
Hmm.
different organs actually kind of having like their own intelligence and like being in a way?
Yeah, I don't claim to understand like why different things get stored in different organs, but if you've ever read anything like The Body Keeps the Score or The Body Bears the Burden, those books about what physically might happen to you when you experience trauma or difficulty, like if everything is energy, then the energy goes somewhere. It doesn't just disappear. We accept that if there's energy, it goes somewhere. So if you're experiencing something traumatic, the odds of that manifesting in your actual body are pretty high.
No, I've definitely heard about different areas where it's like certain beliefs, certain negative thoughts tend to manifest as like certain conditions.
Hmm. Well, we know, for example, if you're stressed out, your body's going to release cortisol. If you're chronically stressed out, you'll be chronically releasing cortisol. If you're chronically releasing cortisol, you're going to be chronically releasing insulin. If you're chronically releasing insulin, the insulin is going to be chronically scraping against your arteries. If you're chronically having insulin and scrape against your arteries, you're going to chronically have cholesterol into your arteries trying to repair that damage. Voila.
Yeah, all of this like
Yeah.
downstream
Hmm.
impacts in the body.
Yeah. I've literally had clients giving themselves diabetes because they're stressed out.
Mm.
They're completely normal in most ways. Their diet is good. Even like I'll look at their diet and their consumption, their habits, they're working out or they're outside a lot, getting lots of exercise, but their pancreas is a complete mess because they're so stressed out that it's constantly responding to the cortisol.
Absolutely. No, I definitely see that in my clients as well, like doing all the right things, but still having gut issues, still having blood sugar spikes, like all of that stuff.
Mhm.
And yeah, the mental and emotional well being plays such a big part of it. I'm also thinking about like the how to of releasing like the trauma, the thoughts, the stress that we can experience from the body. And something that's become like a big part of my world and like how I view wellness is yoga.
Mhm.
And in like breath work, you can try to actively, like with your exhales, release that tension, just bringing like your focus to like certain areas that are holding tension that you notice like during meditations and just like actively trying to release it with your
Mhm.
breath. Have you ever dove into like certain mechanisms and practices like that for releasing?
Sure. Just as a matter of getting people out of the sympathetic nervous system and into the parasympathetic nervous system, it's always interesting when I have a client whose adrenals are out, but there's no supplementation that I can give them. When I test back and there's nothing there that I can give them, it's all behavioral. And I mean, the upside is that that's all free.
Mm-hmm.
The downside is that they have to think about it, make time to do it, and as a general rule, I kind of say breathe out longer than you breathe in. Make a conscious effort to do that a whole lot, as many times as you remember it. Whatever you've got to do to relax. Sit in the hot tub, go to the sauna. Like, this is the prescription. You'll never have a doctor tell you this. Go relax and enjoy yourself. Go out with your friends and laugh. It's all the things that people want to do
Yeah, but
and
don't
feel
always make time
guilty for
for it.
doing. It's time to do it.
Yeah. And it's like truly so important for your health and well-being. And like it can feel almost selfish to like take that time away from productivity, away from like, the schedule and the daily grind to just like relax and do the things that bring you joy. But if you don't do those practices, like how are you going to be able to give back to the world, give back to the people that you love?
Absolutely. If you are not at your peak self, all cylinders firing, then yeah, you can't serve other people. That's usually my logic when I'm trying to make an argument for this. Like, look, when you're done with this, you will have so much more energy. to do what you say you want to do right now, what you're forcing yourself to do right now, what you're muscling through, and then you're exhausted at the end of the day. Sleep is another thing. I feel like I grew up kind of laughing at sleep. We'd be like, haha, I'll sleep when I'm dead,
So classic.
So wrong. So wrong. You need that to repair. You need it to clear your brain out. Your brain uses that time to clear out amyloids, to release adenosine, to prepare you for the next day.
Yeah.
In fact, most people who are like, I can't sleep, I come in and their adrenals are out. And that's really the problem, is the cortisol is so out of whack that it's waking them up in the middle of the night, and when they should be able to sleep all the way through, have a nice spike in the morning to wake them up, and then it declines throughout the day.
It's absolutely so true. Like sleep anxiety, spiking cortisol right when you should be like
Mhm.
having low cortisol before falling asleep, all of those different
Mhm.
things.
Drinking coffee at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Mm.
That's
Yeah, and I think it's so important to mention that it always looks different for every person. So what makes you feel like rejuvenated is going to be different from what makes me feel rejuvenated. So it's really personalizing everything and finding like the things that make you feel like you have more energy.
Mhm.
Not just like, oh, this self-help book told me that I should meditate. All right, maybe for you it's hiking,
Yeah,
like finding your personal approaches.
right. Yeah. I wouldn't tell somebody who had adrenal fatigue to go work out hard.
Mm.
That's more cortisol. Even though most people think of going for a run or going to play a basketball game as some sort of stress release for that. That's more cortisol, and I wouldn't suggest that for a person who is a very tired person. But for some people, that's what they need, absolutely. So
Yeah.
if you need a lot of dopamine, then yeah, go do that.
So another question I have for you is I feel like in today's modern world, so many people are slowly getting more and more disconnected from their body, from that like mind body connection. So do you ever find when people come to you that it's hard to get those yes or no answers from their body because of like that disconnection or because their brain and their emotions are so entangled?
Not too often, I would say, but I definitely do have people that they'll switch. They'll go strong when they should be weak and weak when they should be strong. And then sometimes it'll be the left side of the body will answer correctly and the right side of the body will answer incorrectly, or the top half of the body will answer incorrectly and the bottom half will answer incorrectly. It just depends on where the energy blockage is. This happens a lot when people have adrenal fatigue.
Mm,
I think stress is probably the biggest reason I see for this. So there are some cases where I just have to stop. We can't even get into nutrition yet. We've just got to stop and get the person's energy flowing before we can move on, which is fine because people feel better afterwards anyway. And I don't see how you can heal when your energy isn't flowing all the way everywhere. I mean, if you
yeah.
think of your body as, and I don't mean to like, you can set aside Chinese medicine and you can set aside woo woo for this. If you are an electrical being and the electricity is not flowing, I don't see how you heal in the part of the body where there is no neurons firing.
It's so true. No, it's so true and so easy to overlook because you're always like, oh, I want this protocol, I want this supplement, I want this something extra to add into my system.
Mhm.
But if you're not connected, if you're not open, if you're not flowing, even the best supplements and the best protocols aren't going to be able to truly heal you.
Yeah, I think it's hard too for people to think that just because something is natural means that'll be good for them. We still tend to treat supplements as pharmaceuticals, like I should be able to just take this pill and it will fix it, which is not always the case. And people forget that these things are powerful and you can take the wrong thing, or you can underdose yourself, or you can overdose yourself, or you can be just like wasting money on stuff that actually isn't what's right for you. That's my worst thing.
No,
Don't waste
absolutely.
money on stuff that's not right for you and you're just throwing the wall.
And it's like, okay, if it gives you peace of mind, like
Right.
great, and you have that extra income, sure, whatever. But yeah, it is finding those specific things that truly work for you. And it's
Mhm.
not always a supplement. Sometimes it's literally like an energy opening practice.
Mhm.
So talking about like the energy and like the traditional Chinese medicine, does like meridian systems and more of those like energy centers in the body factor into applied kinesiology?
Yeah, I think you could say that the original founders of kinesiology probably took a lot of their information from Chinese medicine, and the best way I can describe it is that they translated it into language that would be acceptable to Westerners and nutritional information that we can understand. So a lot of it is based in meridians, acupuncture points, but those are only, I call them switches. A lot of kinesiologists will call them switches. Those are just the switches. That's where we're testing to get the information out of. It's similar and we use a lot of the same switches, but the language is totally different. Like you could say, well, you're damp in Chinese medicine. That might
Yeah.
mean like you're yeasty, you've got like mold or mycotoxin exposure. That language might be, well, you're too damp and you should eat this thing that will dry you out. In kinesiology, I would say, well, this looks like a candida overgrowth, and here's the things to eat to starve it to death, and here are the supplements to take to kill it faster,
Yeah, so it's kind
which
of
is
like
easier for people.
an intersection
Yeah,
between like these like more ancient traditional practices
right.
and the modern approach.
Yes, they're not wrong. I mean, they had all the intuition.
Yeah, and so many years of experimentation too. Like I feel like it's so important to highlight that the traditional approaches, the Ayurveda, the traditional Chinese medicine, they all considered like the energy and the electrical impulse and like more of those abstract components and brought that into health.
Mhm,
Like when you look at yoga, like yoga isn't just about the body movement. The body movement is just one of the layers to bring you into deeper
mhm,
connection with your body, allowing that energy flow that we talked about. So all of these like older forms
mhm,
were already applying all these things.
mhm, and the breath work. Mhm.
Yes. Breathwork is so impactful. Truly such a powerful practice. Is
You
there
know, you wanna hear a funny breath work thing,
absolutely.
that I learned in you hear, people say when the weather changes that their joints hurt and they get headaches, and I always got barometric pressure headaches, like, I get headaches, and I'm not a headachy person, but if a storm rolled in, I would get a headache. Um, and people always complain about their knees or their ankles hurting. And then I had professor say that that is usually an ion imbalance. Who even thought that you had an ion balance in your body? But the way you correct that is with alternate nostril breathing, because one set of ions goes through one nostril and the other one goes through the other.
Yeah, it's wild. Like there's so much mystery to the body. And I think like sometimes people like, oh, we have it all figured out, but we really don't. Like this is thousands, millions of years of evolution that we can like just barely understand. Like there is so much underlying complexity in the body, in our minds, how we interact with the world that we still don't understand in science.
I don't understand a lot of this still. It still blows my mind all the time.
And yet you can still create like crazy transformation in people's health and wellness. You
Incredibly
don't
effective, yeah.
yeah, you don't need to always understand and like have the diagnosis and have the perfect words to create impact.
No,
And
in
that's so
fact,
important.
it's one of the things that my clients have to accept is that I could give them kind of an overall assessment at the beginning, but what they come for may not be the first thing their body wants. And
Mhm.
we don't do things out of order of what the body wants. If you come in and say, I can't sleep and I really want to be able to sleep, the body might say first, well, that's great, but you have small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And in order for your adrenals to heal, we have to clean out this bacteria and heal your intestines because it's stressing you out. And you don't realize that this is the stressor. So that's the furthest upstream item, so that's what the body tells them. That's not what they necessarily want to hear first. But the
Yeah.
body always gives the furthest upstream issue. And then when you resolve that, you move on to the next one. And that's always the way
Yeah, the
that
root
we go.
cause,
Yep.
that foundational imbalance
Mhm.
that takes more time to discover. And it sounds like applied kinesiology would really speed up that process.
It does a lot. I'm finished with most people after that's why I have a six pack because it usually takes 6 visits to sort out
Mm,
to sort out what's going on, maybe 7, maybe 5, depends on the person, but um a lot of people are in and out in under 6 months because we're not covering stuff up. You're just getting to the bottom of it.
yeah.
And then that's that. And you can come back 6 months later and make sure everything's still the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, just occasional check-ins to make
Right.
sure everything's open and
Right, right.
optimized. Yeah. Wow. Is there anything that we haven't touched on that you feel like is really important to highlight in terms of like applied kinesiology and like the science of all of it?
I think we should talk about neurotransmitters. I'd like to. It's really important, especially since so many people are on antidepressants right now. And we were in here for a community day not too long ago, and I met 4 people. I did mini sessions for people that were visiting, and out of the 7 people that I worked on, 4 of them were on antidepressants, and all of them were under 30.
Wow.
Yeah. When I learned how easy it was to test and treat neurotransmitter imbalances through kinesiology, I about lost my own mind. I had to balance my own. It was so, it filled me with rage actually, because so many people suffer and have depression and are on these drugs that have really long term, like some of the side effects are really scary. The principle of the SSRI, I think, is really interesting. It basically recycles your serotonin. But if you're not making enough serotonin in the first place, then you're just recycling not enough serotonin. I asked one of these people if they felt like their SSRI was helping them. And they said, it seems to help more in the summer. And I was like, that's the sun's.
Yeah.
So it's not working. But food, or maybe SAMe, or maybe passion flower would. There is something that will bring up serotonin naturally without this and the dependency that those creates. Same thing with the other neurotransmitters. And people tend to think in terms of like more is better. Oh, like I'm extra depressed, so I'm going to take this today or I'm going to take more today, when the name of the game is really balance. You're balancing all 4. You're balancing the excitatory and the inhibitory. And taking a lot of one thing is not necessarily helpful. You're driving up one and leaving the others in the dust. And it just
Mhm.
creates a different kind of discomfort.
Yeah, I feel like whenever you're overriding the body, there
Mm-hmm.
can be some issues. So, like when you say balance, I just think about that. It's like you're never trying to override the system. You're trying to restore balance and teach and show your body how it's supposed to be like functioning optimally.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And the gut issue thing is huge for this too,
Mhm.
because issues with the gut tend to translate to depression, anxiety, things like that. You're taking pills for your brain, but really it's a matter of cleaning up your gut.
Yeah, it's so exciting, like the gut brain axis and the microbiome research that's coming out, like this crazy interplay between what you eat and how you feel, which you would think would be completely separate things,
Right.
but it's so connected.
All connected. Even the liver, I see often liver function affecting thyroid function. So a clogged up liver affecting thyroid function is going to make you tired and depressed, not
Mm,
because it's so connected to whether or not you're processing T3 correctly. So even something like that, and here you are taking a pill for your head. It's the wrong thing. And I'm not disparaging people who are trying to be helpful, because I don't want to say that doctors aren't doing their best and genuinely trying to help their patients. But I think this is an old model that needs re examining. And probably in 20 years, we're going to look back on this the way we do at smoking now.
Yeah, no, that is such an important add to this conversation because I feel like my key takeaway here is like there's never one way to do anything. And it's so important to get multiple opinions and to think about things in different ways and to try different approaches because everybody is trained differently.
Mhm.
And so their protocol, their solutions are going to be different. And because everybody is so unique, every approach needs to be personalized and needs to be
Mhm.
bio-individual. So, yeah, just bringing multiple people into the equation, listening and building that self-trust in your own body, and just understanding that everybody is doing their best. And even if their protocol is amazing, it might not work for you, even though it works
Mhm.
for other people. And just understanding that.
Completely. I'm always surprised. I get surprised a lot when somebody tells me what their symptoms are and I immediately shuffle through the things in my head that it could be, and then I get a completely different answer when I'm actually testing them. You can't make any assumptions.
So powerful. That's like applied kinesiology is really like such an interesting and powerful thing because like it takes like your expectations, your assumptions out of the equation. You're just
Mhm.
communicating directly with the body. Really incredible work. So, Stacie, is there, if people want to learn more about applied kinesiology, about your work, about your client work, all of that stuff, where can they find more information about you?
Sure. Well, there's my website. That's paradigmhealthlifestyle.com. I do a free class every other Tuesday at Crosswinds Wesleyan in Canandaigua. That's open to the public and totally free. That's every other Tuesday at 6:30. You can find information about that on our little Facebook group that is Free Energy on Facebook. So if you search up Free Energy, you'll find a bright green battery, and that's us. Paradigm has a Facebook. On Instagram, I'm actually Morriston Farm to Table. So that's kind of half health, half farm stuff.
I love it. And we'll put links to all of that in the show notes. Final thoughts. Is there anything else coming to your mind? I feel like we have covered so many important topics in this episode. So,
For sure.
final
Yeah.
takeaways. Everything that we talked about, kind of like bringing it and like alchemizing it into like one key thing that people can work on in the next week, in the next month, just to bring some of the power of applied kinesiology into their personal day to day life.
Yeah, the body has the innate intelligence to heal itself. All you have to do is give it the right conditions.
Yeah, I would also say, like, as a little final thought, just like building that connection to your body. That way you're able to listen to that innate
Mhm.
intelligence, like, even more deeply, thinking about your emotions, thinking about your mental well being, and bringing more like time into your life where you can really just focus on listening.
Absolutely. Symptoms are your body's message to you, trying to
Yeah.
tell you something.
I used to say, like, symptoms are the language of your body.
Right.
You just need to learn how to understand it. Well, thank you so much, Stacie. This
Thanks
has
for
been
having me.
such an incredible conversation, and I imagine we'll be doing a lot more work together, I hope.
Hope so.
All right, that concludes this episode of the Health Habit Podcast. What an amazing conversation. I will see you all next week where we'll dive into a new holistic health topic. Goodbye, everybody.